Welcome back, YouTubers, to my channel of an everyday life of an aspect. If you're following me right now, I'm all about creating mental health and awareness versus sharing my life stories of whatever it may be with Asperger's syndrome, OCD and the like. I also bring out some mental health and awareness series versus just some messages of personal struggles of what you guys may go through with the beauty from ashes, with tips and advice along the way, or just some messages of hope to bring some clarity, understanding and everything else. So it has been brought to my attention, if you haven't been following me, that I'm trying to do as many as I can with the mental health series versus just hopefully some more of my beauty from ashes before I get into hopefully some other stuff that I wanted to address to you all, regardless of what it may be. So just be disclaimer that I'm no medical doctor, I'm just a normal everyday Joe blog sharing my life stories as much as I can, as well as just basically, if you see any warning signs and symptoms based on these mental health disorders, I clearly suggest to seek professional help for you or your loved one, or second opinion, regardless what it may be. And also just to bear in mind also some of these tips and tricks that I may give out, regardless of these, methods that I give out or techniques that may work for me but it may not work for you, and vice versa. What you may do for you may not work for me. It's just a give and take scenarios for us both, and respecting each other's differences of how things work. So enough what to do, guys. Basically, let's begin this before I run out of time. So as you know, basically this one's all about how to recognize social anxiety, broken down to 6 parts. This is method 3 obviously of the 6 parts, recognizing SAD at school or work. As I said before, I clearly am trying to abbreviate it down to SAD, so you guys should know by now what some of these medical abbreviation terms that I share out, whatever it is, when I do it beforehand. Also just to bear in mind also though, however, that if some do sound repetitive from what you can recall, what you watched on my series, regardless what they may be of these everyday topics, I humbly apologize. But as I said, it would be just good as just a quick reminder, day-to-day thing for what needs to be addressed, regardless what it is, so that we can learn from each other and whatever else. So it's just about give and take. So humbly apologize in advance if it does sound familiar. So method 3, recognizing SAD at school or work. Let's begin this. Number 1, keep track of when you begin worrying about an upcoming event. As we know, with people with SAD, we'll tend to begin to worry about a speech that may have come up to give in front of their classmates, or even a social event they are attending to, weeks before the actual event does actually occur. So you got to be in mind though, however, that when this worrying does persist, it can cause a lot of damage, or well, not a lot of damage as such, but just certain problems, be it digestive problems, be it that they may lose appetite, and they're not even hungry, so therefore they'll end up maybe depriving from themselves of eating. Also problems with sleeping can occur. However, while it is normal to get nervous on the day or morning before a speech, however, it is generally a sign of SAD if you're nervous for weeks before the event. However, for example, if you have a speech coming up in 2 weeks time, however, and you're already written it out and to what you want to say or going to say, you should feel pretty prepared. However, someone with SAD might be kept up at night worrying about the presentation for the whole 2 weeks before they actually do it. They procrastinate till the kingdom comes, thinking, now what can I do, what can I say, and everything else. But that's okay, it's normal. Alright, number 2, consider how often you participate in class or during the meetings. A common sign of social anxiety, obviously, is an unwillingness to participate in everyday situations or social settings, or even just social surroundings of where they are at that given moment in time that involves them to socialize with their peers. This may mean that if they were in a meeting, however, while they're supposed to be participating in a task or what have you, they're maybe not raising their hand to ask or answer any questions that is coming their way of what they need to know, or choosing to work on an individual project instead of a team project. People with SAD, however, will often avoid working in groups because they become too concerned about what their team members may think of them. Obviously, it's just a self-conscious thing. Sometimes they'll think time and time again that their peers will be thinking about them, when clearly that we know sometimes they're not, but it's just the way our brain's wired. For example, if you were avoiding to raising your hand to ask a question in class, or even in a business setting, even if you don't understand the material, this could be a sign of social anxiety. For example, if you're in a discussion with others, the question I want to ask you is, do you voice your opinions or shrink back to avoid any eye contact with others around you? Okay, number 3, notice if you have any physical symptoms of social anxiety or anxiety in general. As we know, basically, when it comes down to it, we need to know the signs and symptoms. Some of it can be mostly physical instead of in the mental state of mind. People's SAD, however, often will display physical as well as emotional symptoms of anxiety. These physical symptoms can include blushing, sweating, trembling, shortness of breath, and numbness. For example, if you get called on in class and you know the answer, but instead of answering, you blush, begin to sweat, can't seem to breathe, so obviously you're becoming of shortness of breath, you may have social anxiety. Number 4, consider whether you ever change your opinion to avoid having to voice your own thoughts. People with SAD will often change their opinions so that they don't have to justify their thoughts by speaking out loud. They want to avoid feeling alienated or questioned at all costs. For example, imagine you are working on a group project together and someone suggests an idea, but you have a better one. You may choose to go with that other person's less efficient idea simply because you don't want to be put on the spot and have to explain your idea in the first place. Number 5, last but not least, think about how you feel about public speaking. People with SAD will go out of their way to try and actually, avoid giving presentation speeches and other public speaking instances where all eyes are on them. Consider how you feel about the public speaking and how often you have to give them, or go out of your way to avoid it in the first place. In many instances, you may be thinking, what if I forget what I have prepared in the first place? What if I stop in the middle of the presentation? What if my mind goes blank during the session? What will happen, or shall I say, what will everybody think? Will everybody laugh at me? I will be making a fool of myself. So sometimes with the social anxiety disorder, sometimes it with the negative thoughts that comes up in vain and all these what if scenarios and all the other bits and pieces that involves us to social engage can be really scary and daunting for us. And then we need to tend to think, now we need to remove that somehow and actually put something else in there, which is obviously the positive vibes and thinking and everything else, but that takes time, obviously. So this quickly ends the one of the identifying how to recognize social anxiety disorder, part 3. Give me the like for thumbs up for thought. Comment below if I've missed out anything, or feel free to comment below if you want to open for discussion board for this topic especially, so that we can understand each other, how we cope with everyday things. Feel free to private message me if the need arises, either through my Facebook or on here, AspieAnswersAll, so that if you feel the need or have to, to get something off your chest or whatever it may be. Feel free to also subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. Feel free to, share these videos around to family and friends. Feel free to also basically follow me on my social media sites in the description below. So thanks for your support, thanks for watching, do what you love what you do. Aspie signing out. Until next time, have a great day and I'll see you again soon.